Namaste, Ma Anand Sheela.
Namaste.
It's my second time meeting you, and it will be a pleasure to see you for the second time here in Nepal. So last time I remember you were here, and then this time you're here with your big group from Switzerland. So thank you for that, directly, indirectly, you're even supporting Nepali tourism. So Ma Anand Sheela, I would like to start my question with a very general, but yet very profound and complicated questions. If you look into it from a spiritual point of view. So may I ask you who you are?
My name is Ma Anand Sheela, or Sheela Bien Still. I am just like you, a human, living life and enjoying life.
So I ask this question because you have a very long journey with Bhagwan Rajnesh, and the Bhagwan Rajnesh, he has such wonderful lessons and lectures on human life and the spirituality. So I was expecting what's your point of view looking into the life?
Life has to be lived, and life becomes interesting from the choices we make in crisis and in joy. So for me, life has to be lived and lived fully.
Okay, so because once you are managing this whole ashram, during that time you got to know a lot of people who are world renowned. They're all in the ashram, and being the secretary to Bhagwan Rajneesh and being one of the main administrative over there. So you have been through all these people, you have dealt with these people, so-called big celebrities or the rich people and all these people. So, living life with them and then living your own life. So what's your experience to your life and how do you see the life?
I lived one life, and that life was for my love for Bhagwan and his teachings, his work, his dream. So I had no conflict which life I'm living. But people have conflict about my life.
Okay.
So I want to make one thing very clear for all people. When they criticize me, when they say things that are not true or they are fantasy of their own, they are criticizing Bhagwan.
Okay.
They are criticizing his teachings. And I would recommend all his people to be aware of what they are speaking, of whom they are speaking. When they say I was not the right secretary for Bhagwan, they are telling Bhagwan that his choice was not correct. That means they consider Bhagwan not capable of making his choices in his life and accusing him of low intelligence. And I would shame for this kind of assumption. But they have to now learn.
So you saying that, I still remember that in most of these teachings, Bhagwan Rajneesh used to say that. So he was against a lot of religions and the cults, But now, if you really look into that, so we can see a lot of followers from Bhagwan Rajneesh. They have their own institutions, religious institutions. So which was even Bhagwan Rajneesh was against that, Somehow we can even relate that. Even Bhagwan, Buddha was also against the scriptures, but in recent days, you can find most of the scriptures you find of Buddha, So how do you relate these things and how do you see into that? Because Bhagwan Rajneesh was not in favor of religions because he was always against that and against the cults, But their own followers, they have got so many institutions. So how do you see that?
I say it this way, I feel it is sad. What they are doing, they're looking for a business, earn their money, earn their keep. without creativity. Bhagwan's one basic teaching was be yourself and do not compromise. Now, being yourself means you have to bring out your own creativity. You don't have to copy Bhagwan and sit on a chair and become a Bhagwan. Or start putting their fingers on the forehead, thinking that they are same as Bhagwan. That's stupid. If you look at them or see some photos, it's stupid. And Bhagwan did not like stupidity. But that is how masses are.
True. So like Ma Sheela, like can I know like a brief on your on your childhood, and then I just want to know till the time how you get to know Bhagwan Rajneesh and then get involved in his activities. What drew you towards Bhagwan Rajneesh?
I had a wonderful childhood, loving parents. We come from middle class. We were trained to have good education. And my father was also a visionary and ahead of his time. And he made sure all of us get international education, sent us to US at an early age to study. But on the way, he also introduced men like Bhagwan Krishnamurti to us. And for me, when I met Bhagwan second time, I fell in love with him. I fell so deep in love with him. Even today, I'm not out of that beautiful well. And I prefer to swim in this well.
True.
So that was one of a kind situation. What can I say? I am not interested in any other nonsense.
So like I have heard it very frequently from you as well, like you always say that your life isn't triangular, and you have like three ages. You have your father, your mom, and Bhagwan Rajneesh. So initially I just want to know more about your father, because I even got to know that he was somehow involved with Mahatma Gandhi, which like I need to describe who Mahatma Gandhi is, So can you please describe on that?
Yeah, my father at the age of 16 he rebelled against his father.
Okay.
His father wanted him to marry a woman of his choice. And my father said, no, I am not going to marry because I have to live with. I will choose my own wife. You don't need to choose. So his father, my grandfather, said to my father, then you won't get any inheritance.
Okay.
So my father said, these pants I'm wearing are your, you paid for it.
That,
He takes off his pants and says, here, and he left.
Okay.
And then he joined Sabarmati Ashram. Afterwards, he became one of the trusted lieutenant of Gandhi and contemporary of Gandhi like Kaka Saheb, Mama Fatke, and Sardar. He got his training through them. And he tried to pass on that rebellion for freedom, that rebellion for self-respect and respect for others. And that was our training.
As far as you know, I think like your father was also like charged in jail for a while. So he was also put into prison for a while when he was in the movement?
He spent total of 4 years,
4 years.
in British prison as a political prisoner.
So how do you see your mom? Because like I just want to know these three triangles.
My mom was highly intelligent and very, very practical. All the practicality what I have received from my mom.
Okay.
She was very beautiful also. And in those time, she went to MS University in Baroda.
Okay.
Women were not allowed, but she managed to get in the university. And she met my father on a railway station. Her father was a very ethical teacher and taught young students ethics.
Okay.
Not under category of ethics, but what he was teaching them was basic values of life.
So like today, like, you know, like as you already mentioned that the three most important part in your life, or three persons in most important in your life, like three edges of the triangle, none of them exist physically in this world, you know.
No,
so how do you feel on that?
Their teachings are with me. Their love is with me. And I live in that feeling of love. I live in that aroma, that fragrance of love and beauty.
So like if we see like in Rajneeshpuram, you know, Rajneeshpuram, you have a good experiences of, you know, living with such an, you know, like highly experienced people, like let's say like the rock stars or like so-called very much, you know, like highly, you know, like renowned celebrities, and all these people, you know, they are all like in the Rajneeshpuram, and then you are the one like who has been working with them very closely somehow, you know, managing them. So how do you see your life, you know, like having the experience of living with the people who already have their own, you know, like very diverse experience in their life?
What I'm going to say, most people won't like it. But this is something I had recognized. Bhagwan was surrounded by elite of the normal life, normal population. But they did not have their own elite. They were mediocre among their elite. Which is a shame, because they were sitting with Bhagwan, sitting to learn there with Bhagwan, but they could not see this difference. To be elite, you have to be yourself. You don't copy others. You be yourself.
Sure. Ma Sheela, like how does your prosperity towards life and especially spirituality changed after, like, let's say, especially after you joined Rajespuram? Like,
I have nothing to do with spirituality. I was only in love with Bhagwan. And that kept me away from fantasies and fallacies of what people think spirituality is, what meditation is. I didn't get into that trap because I was very clear about my feelings and my purpose. My purpose was to be around Bhagwan, learn what I can learn, and take care of him, his teachings.
So, looking back, how do you reflect your role in shaping the Rajneesh movement? Because you are the one like who has been like a pioneer, like let's say one of the most, you know, like administrative person to look after and to get involved directly into this Rajespuram.
I did not see it any different. It was Bhagwan's dream.
Okay.
I was his hand and feet. I was his spokesperson. And I moved the pieces of management such that came with Bhagwan's guidance. For me, he was center of my universe. And there was never a compromise. When I chose to leave him, it was because I felt incapable of serving him 100%, because he told me to stay out of a specific issue.
Okay.
And I could not, because if I stayed out of specific issue, then his life was in danger. His teachings have fallen in wrong hand,
Okay.
which now world recognizes what happened to his teachings. All his spiritual wealth, which I call his books and his teachings, have been destroyed by some of his people. They have been edited wrongly, etc., for private interest of some people who were around Bhagwan. They have taken all his physical wealth out of his vicinity and moved it to Switzerland, as I hear.
Okay.
So this is what is happening, but so be it. If that is his wish, no question for me.
But I guess like even some people, they even like question you on this matter, I guess, because they even say like, because you being the secretary to him, and then you being the main administrative, so even some people, I guess, even they blame you for using the property that Rajneesh had.
When they blame me, they're blaming Bhagwan.
Okay.
Not me. And they have to be clear once in a lifetime that they show their stupidity.
Exactly.
How can they blame me? I can say when I left a functioning city in its glory.
Okay.
What, they were all impotent. They could not they could not carry on further. Why do they need Sheela?
So if they have taken over the things, then they could have.
And Bhagwan chose number of secretaries after I left. They were not capable
So
to maintain that. So if anything they want to say, they can say anyway, it doesn't matter to me. I stand on my own feet. And I will continue to stand on my own feet because I have learned from Bhagwan to be independent and stand on your own feet. And I don't rely on any of his sannyasins. I live my own life. I am here on my own strength. And Bhagwan is very proud of me. I am sure. they don't have to believe it.
Mm-hmm.
That's my conviction.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So like, Ma Sheela, how difficult it was, or like, I just want to know your experience, like when you finally decided to leave Rajnesh Puram and then just walk away gracefully.
It was not easy,
Mm-hmm.
but clarity was there.
Okay.
Clarity was
Mm-hmm.
that when he chose me as a secretary,
Mm-hmm.
and if I cannot perform that duty,
Mm-hmm.
because I must ignore everything
Mm-hmm.
what was happening near his house.
Okay.
Question of his safety.
Mm-hmm.
And I was given that job. He had given me 3 things that I should do. Secure his safety, secure his teachings,
Mm-hmm.
and secure his commune.
Mm-hmm.
And what was going on, I could not secure it.
Mm-hmm.
And I informed him about it.
Mm-hmm.
And his answer to me was, stay out of it,
Okay.
Sheela. That means there's no point of me being secretary anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it's time for me to move on.
Mm-hmm.
It was the love that I had for him gave me the strength to walk away from it.
Mm-hmm.
I was not going to compromise my clarity,
Mm-hmm.
my integrity.
Mm-hmm.
And with tears in my eyes,
Mm-hmm.
saying goodbye to all these hundreds of people who came to say goodbye to me,
Mm-hmm.
I went forward.
Mm-hmm.
I had learned from him and my father,
Mm-hmm.
burn your bridges,
Mm-hmm.
don't look back.
Which means to say that once you left Rajneeshpuram, so were you, like trying to keep information what's happening inside?
I was not keeping any information.
Mm-hmm.
When some newspaper come or somebody sends me a cutting,
Mm-hmm.
If I have time and desire, I would quickly go through. But
Mm-hmm.
that too, that phase also is very seldom now,
Mm-hmm.
because I have my own work cut out,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't want to take time away
Mm-hmm.
from pondering about past.
Mm-hmm. Like living such a wonderful life in Rajneeshpuram, like managing the things, preserving his teachings, looking after his security and all these things, and the time being into the prison for all these causes. How does that feel?
It felt like good training
In the prison?
in prison. And it feels like that Bhagwan wanted to test his own teachings.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So he organizes me to go in prison by blaming me from A to Z.
Mm-hmm.
And then, what do I do? Without knowing, I use his own teachings
Mm-hmm.
to survive.
Okay.
And look at me now. I'm 75 years
Yes,
old.
you're 75 and still you're young.
And still smiling.
Yeah, you are with a great strength. So in your book, like the treasure, which you gifted to your daughter. So I was going through that, and I find a wonderful line. I love that, like the lines particularly. So I don't know what's to words, but like what it means to say was that if there is a kind of violence in love, you need to make a graceful exit.
Right. I talk of conflict in love.
Mm-hmm.
Relationships always have ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
because there are two egos clashing.
Mm-hmm.
In my situation, ego was not clashing. It was the job given to me.
Mm-hmm.
I could not fulfill.
Okay.
And one thing, when you don't get along well with your partner,
Mm-hmm.
walk away gracefully.
Mm-hmm.
Not to create this theater
Dramas.
and monkey aggression.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where I say Bhagwan was a man,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
just like you and me.
Mm-hmm.
A very learned man, but in the end, he was a man in love with Sheela.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And he could not let Sheela go easily.
Mm-hmm. So right now you've been mentioned like you are 75 now, like in most of the teachings of Bhagwan Rajneesh, he talks frequently about death, it's like he said like you need to accept it very well, like in a very gentle way. So how is your perspective towards that? Like what impact does it have in your life? Like when he talks about death.
My whole life is impacted.
Mm-hmm.
I talk Bhagwan, I sleep Bhagwan, I eat Bhagwan.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is Bhagwan.
Mm-hmm.
I use his teachings on a daily basis for my betterment,
Mm-hmm.
for my environmental betterment.
Mm-hmm.
Bhagwan is not separate from me. And I don't have to prove to anybody
Yeah.
who Bhagwan is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to blame anybody for my journey with Bhagwan. I don't push responsibilities towards somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Like some of the sannyasins are blaming me.
Mm-hmm.
They could have taken over the position of secretary. They could have united together and go against go to Bhagwan and say, we don't want Sheela.
Mm-hmm.
She has a bad character.
Mm-hmm.
I would have stood there in front of them too.
But that doesn't happen.
But do they have balls?
Mm-hmm.
I ask you.
Mm-hmm.
These sannyasins
Mm-hmm.
are so impotent.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even misuse spirituality or anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's not my cup of tea, I don't need it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
People ask me about spiritual question. I say, ask me something else.
Yeah.
I don't need.
Yeah, but still I want to ask you the same, like also he used to talk a lot about a kind of celebration, he used to talk a lot about celebration. So what does that mean to you? So like if I look into that, sometimes I feel like he just want to say people to be mindful, but then like he used this terminology like celebration a lot of time, So what impact does this have in your life?
You have to understand, Bhagwan's movement became prevalent in 70s and 80s.
Mm-hmm.
It took complete storm, yeah? Those days, people who were coming, the Western world, was fed up of daily structures and bureaucracies, etc. They were coming from flower power.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to look for something more than what they had.
Mm-hmm.
So Bhagwan used the language that his followers can understand.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
He spoke about celebration, music, dancing, and meditation. He created a wonderful meditation technique, which is more a sport aerobic.
Aerobic, yeah. The people love to do it. Yeah.
He began there, calling it a meditation. If he would have called it's a sport or aerobic, most of the people would say, I don't need it.
Yeah. So you use a smart way.
Right. So he uses this and presents it as a meditation. Meditation they didn't know much about. They could not fantasize that well what meditation is. And during this time, they didn't have words like stress or mopping or cancel culture.
Okay.
Now it's all coming up in similar way. So he creates this meditation technique, dynamic meditation.
Yeah.
Some people got help with their health. And when the basic health is good, then life looks different. When I see beautiful sun in November in Nepal, I feel, I'm in heaven.
Yeah. So do you practice this kind of meditation that like Bhagwan Rajneesh?
I didn't do it because I was lazy.
Okay.
And I wanted to be just near Bhagwan.
Yeah. So you're more good with the managing the things, I would say.
Right. I can manage something for him, no issue. But he never told me to go to the meditation either. Not only that, when he would speak, he comes on the auditorium with the hall. He sits in his chair. I look at him for 2 minutes and I fall asleep. I spread out on the floor and I fall asleep. And 2 minutes before he's supposed to end the lecture, I'm awake. And it was an automatic in being in communication with him. And for me, that was everything.
Yeah, because you're like more into the, like managing the things, like the Rajespuram, it also went through a lot of, it faced significant controversies, like, and then you are the one who will be dealing with the legal things. So how do you reconcile all these things, although there was an idea of spirituality?
It didn't bother me. It was his idea. He explains to me what I have to do.
Okay.
I do it. When I see danger, I see problem, I go back to him and say, here is the issues, please help me. And then he justifies it. He explains to me what, how. And I was the only one who spoke to Bhagwan directly on a daily basis.
Okay.
About his agenda of his teaching and his dream.
I'm also asking you this question because, like, in one hand, like Bhagwan Rajneesh was there to help people with their life, through a medium of spirituality, and on the other hand, there are a lot of controversy going on, significant issues, legal issues going on, like which you're like dealing with that. So like I guess like it was not that easy for you because like on one hand you need to make sure that people don't get like bad impression, but at the same time also you need to reconcile all these legal issues. So how do you balance the things?
Simple one sentence. When in the beginning I would feel disturbed,
okay,
Bhagwan would say to me, Sheela, you leave it to me.
Okay.
You just do as I tell you.
Okay.
And for me, with my trust in him, it was more than enough. No questions asked further. He tells me, I do it. He explains to me, I explain further.
Okay. So simply you are doing what Bhagwan Rajneeshpuram asks you to do.
Absolutely. I was his subordinate. I was working for him, for me.
So like after leaving Rajneeshpuram and then US, you know, like how do you navigate your life?
I had to, first thing, I missed my parents very much. They were old and I had not seen them for 5 years or whatever time.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to be back on my feet. I had no money, I had no work or anything. I thought of it, and I knew the pain they felt when I was in prison. So I wanted to make sure that they die seeing me feeling better.
Okay.
That I'm back on my feet and I have not failed them. And then I come across a little information and I set up old age home.
Okay.
I took few people in my house, which I had rented.
Okay.
I write about this whole event in my book by my own rules.
Okay.
And I started helping them, taking care of them. And before I knew it, I had already expanded in a bigger villa, the work. And that also, I grew out of it and have my own house on a little hilltop of a small village. And I worked with old and handicapped people.
Sure, like Ma Anand Sheela, like yeah,
mentally and psychologically ill people.
Ill people, yeah. So like this is how you are being like brought up, let's say, because like your father wants you to be like more free, you know. So once you are with Bhagwan Rajneesh, that has a different dimension, you know. So how do you look into the personal freedom, you know, like how do you look at the personal freedom, considering self-discipline and being responsible to others?
My father taught us basics of freedom, that something that you cannot live with, then speak. You question. Don't be afraid to question to others and yourself. My father, many relatives would bother my father, mother, that your girls are of the age, get them married. My father said, no, I'm not going to get them married. They should find their own men if they want to marry. I'm not going to live with their men. So that kind of freedom we were taught. We were taught not to be shy of men.
Exactly.
You are equal to men. We were taught to understand our own sexuality. That was even before I met Bhagwan.
Okay.
From father I had understood all these things.
Yeah.
And I had seen immense love and trust of father, mother.
Towards you, yeah.
So that had a big impression on me. So we went along. That was not a conflict for me. And not having a conflict taught me that I have to find my own way.
Exactly, yeah.
And that what I choose will be my fate.
Exactly.
And it has been. I live Bhagwan even today. I fell in love with him. That was my choice. Of course, Bhagwan reciprocated.
Yeah, it need to be like both ways.
Yeah, both ways. If you have any doubts about Bhagwan's love for me, just look at some of the photos, how Bhagwan looks at me.
Yeah, I saw one in the end of the book, the treasure, like in the back, you know, like you're putting your hand on her head and then Bhagwan Rajni is laughing, yeah.
Yeah. That will tell you if you at all understand what love is. If you don't understand, meditate. It is good.
Yeah.
Keep yourself busy with meditation and enlightenment.
If you don't have any options, and meditation
then do that.
Yeah. So can I say like, or do you believe that Bhagwan Rajneesh was against marriage? But because we see like, you know, like somehow I even heard like, you know, once you get married, so you go through a lot of sufferings, but we even see people getting married again and again, you know, but somehow like, I don't know, maybe he just cracked a joke or like, but do you believe that he was against the marriage?
I believe that I don't want to ruin my life.
Okay.
Meaning, people have very high expectations of marriage. And marriage is a prison. Prison of your own creation. People blame their parents that they wanted them to marry, that's why they marry. Or they can't persuade parents not to expect that. Or they think there is a paradise behind marriage. But let me tell you, there is a lot of responsibility. If you can carry out the responsibility, if you learn to resolve your relationship issues, it can work, but I would say be careful. Be careful. And I also want to say at this point, I was married 3 times.
Okay. Okay.
No, it has to be said.
Yeah.
My first marriage was a man I loved, who also became Bhagwan's disciple.
Okay.
His name was Prem Chinmaya. He was American born, and we had a wonderful affinity, fell in love at first sight.
So it was your college time love? When you were studying?
It was in my university time.
Yeah, okay.
And together then we went to see Bhagwan.
Okay.
So Chinmaya was very humorous, very loving, very gentle.
Okay.
We were into logic those days. Everything must be logical.
Okay.
It was a madness of the students, no?
Yeah, this is what you brought up.
And one day we were sitting back to back, eating together, like my back against his
back,
and his. And we were talking about stupidity of marriage.
Okay.
And we both came out at the same time. We cannot make this judgment because we are not married. Let's get married. So next day we went to the registrar, registered ourselves, and we got married.
So it has prompt.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was not logical.
Yeah,
and then you got to follow the path. And I lived with him 13 beautiful years.
Okay.
And then, of course, he died of malignant Hodgkin's disease. But we lived in Punashram together. We had wonderful time also with our little contact with Bhagwan those days. And we worked in Punashram. That was Chinmaya, my second husband. I fell in love with him in 81. He was the head of Zurich commune.
Okay.
And going to together to promote book of Rajneeshpuram, which Bhagwan wanted me to do to justify American immigration.
Okay.
So on that trip we fell in love together. That was my second husband. And my third husband, I lost a bet.
Okay.
And I had to marry.
So what was that like, losing a bet?
Well, in the moment it was funny. And when I told Bhagwan, he had such a laugh.
Okay.
And we lived together 5 years in Rajneeshpuram.
Okay.
But I carried the bet and paid for it.
For 5 years.
Right, for losing it.
Yeah. So Ma Sheela, like, do you remember, like, because you have a long journey, like, staying in Rajneeshpuram, so do you remember some of your, like, maybe like some of the disciples from Bhagwan Rajneesh? So, or maybe like some of your favorite one, like, who were there. So do you remember some of those?
You have to understand my structure in Rajneeshpuram. I had team of workers who were around me. I had to be daily available to them.
Okay.
Then this team had their
working team, the outer line.
Yeah, and so. And then we had daily visitors. We had visitors for festivals, visitors for university, etc. And a day has only 24 hours, and you try to, and journalists. We were getting daily journalists, 20 cameras crews, 25 cameras crews in the morning hour already.
Like every single day?
Everything was recorded by camera crews. So I have to deal with them too. And of course then Bhagwan, my boss, I have to be available to him. So there was not so many people I came in contact with. Came in contact with when problems of work or so, then you talk directly, or people who have written messages to Bhagwan, or Bhagwan has messages for some of his people, then I have to deliver it.
Convey it, yeah.
I can tell you, I don't remember Shailendra, Bhagwan's brother, I'm sure you have heard of it. Meeting him maybe 3 times in my
lifetime.
I can't
in 75 years.
I can't even remember what were the issue, or I might have passed quick message of Bhagwan, but no more than, that was not more than few minutes.
Okay.
Few minutes is maybe too long.
Okay.
I knew him from distance, that is Bhagwan's brother.
Okay.
There was a second brother there, I don't remember his name anymore. And now, after almost 45 years, I have forgotten many names, even people I used to work closely, because I did not harbor on my time with in Rajneeshpuram. I had to create a new life for me.
Exactly.
And I was busy with that. So,
yeah. So also, like Bhagwan Rajneesh, he also described a lot about reincarnation. Do you believe on that?
I don't know. When I reincarnate, I'll let you know. Or when I
For
die,
that, I also need to get
will let
reincarnated
you know.
then.
But it will be too late. No,
Yeah.
I don't engage myself in such fantasies and things. Don't have time. Because I'm a workaholic, I prefer work.
Okay. So Ma Sheela, like Rajneesh, like he was even more famous for his books, So may I know which one is your favorite one from him?
I don't read. It puts me to sleep when I read him.
So you don't recommend any of his?
No, I don't. I feel more connected.
Yeah, beyond the books,
I feel connected with him, so, and I must say that I have listened to Bhagwan for 14 years.
Exactly.
And it is all somewhere in this body. And what is there, I have to first learn and digest and all that. It may take many lifetimes, but it doesn't matter. I have time. Now I am retired.
Okay.
So there is, what I have found out about Bhagwan's books or his videos, or that when you have a conflict, pick anyone, open the page and start reading with your conflict in mind, and you will definitely find some solution.
Okay. So it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter where you begin, where you end.
Yeah.
And where you again restart. And that is the beauty of Bhagwan's genuineness. That is the beauty of Bhagwan being so grand orator, this grand literary man of knowledge. He finds you all answers to your life, provided you read it with a pure intention, where your expectation, your desires are not part of it.
So you have mentioned that rather than his teaching and his spiritual journey, you are more into his affairs. Like he being your boss and then you doing the administrative works. So can you just share with me like one of the good habit of him that you personally feel like, wow, it is something else, and some like irritating or like kind of, because he was the one who used to instruct you to do the things. So one habit that you feel like irritated of?
He was very particular about his publications.
Okay.
For his publications, cover jacket.
Okay.
Jacket,
yeah.
On the
book.
He wanted 3 artist designs.
Okay.
And he wants to choose this himself. Also, he wants to make sure the book binding is properly done, perfect done. And he was so precise.
Okay.
He would take a book, may I?
Yeah, please.
And he would look like this. He would take like this.
Okay, make sure like it's well
yeah,
binded.
make sure he would see if the binding is correct. He would look at the design, and then
only finalize.
yeah,
Yeah.
he gave his discourse titles, which were presented as a book form or audio form,
Okay.
video form. He gave the titles to the books himself. They are not, in my time, nobody was authorized to do that.
Job, yeah.
It has to be done by him. So when Gamakti created, then I take them and I present it to him. When the book is published and comes from the printers,
Yeah.
he will have his first copy.
Yes.
So that was very specific.
Yeah. One thing that bothered you or like irritate you,
No.
he being your boss?
No, it was always pleasure and learning how detailed he looks, and it is his treasure. He's living for mankind,
Yeah, exactly.
and he didn't take it lightly. He chose the photos that go on the book also, and how the calligraphy or the writing would be, etc. Then he would always notice what I'm wearing.
Yeah.
And his favorite color was red on me.
Okay.
Yeah. I even today I have not, but often
Your
wear
preference color is like
red.
red, yeah.
Yeah, and always remember, he's saying, Sheela, you look beautiful
Okay.
in red.
Yeah. So like you have like already 75 now. So if you need to say one thing that you regret in your life, or like you feel like you missed that out, is there anything like that comes to your mind that you regret, or that you feel like I should have done this, or I missed it, something like that?
No way.
Okay.
No way. There are no regrets if this situation happens today. I would do exactly the same, and I'm proud of my life. It's ups and downs.
Exactly. That's what the life is all about.
And I have made my choices well and learned from it.
So finally, Ma Anand Sheela, I think we are almost at the end of the program. So one takeaway or like one suggestions that you would like to give to the younger people, especially to the girls, because you have been grown up being such a strong lady for yourself, going through various ups and downs and a lot of struggles in your lives, What's the suggestion that you want to pass to the younger people?
Freedom. Freedom. If you have to maintain your freedom by rejecting or by not
Saying no,
getting
yeah.
involved with tradition, religion, whatever that blocks you,
Okay.
choose freedom. Go through the hardship,
Okay.
but choose freedom.
Freedom.
Soul, for me, it is heart. Heart, soul, they understand the value of freedom.
Freedom.
And never trade freedom for making mama and papa happy for their 10 minutes or that's all. Or get married and ruin your life and create your own prison. Don't do it.
Thank you so much, Ma Anand Sheela. It's been such a pleasure talking to you, and thank you so much for your time. I wish you a very healthy and happy life. Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me.